So I started this week with 2 Subarus, and currently I have 0. Oh, Subaru problems. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today's video is a video I don't like to make, nor probably any automotive YouTuber likes to make, and today's video is going to be finding out whether or not I have to take out the engine on not 1 but 2 Subarus. So let me do a little let me just do a little explanation. Where I'm headed right now is I'm going to my local Subaru dealer and I'm picking up some coolant. Why am I picking up some coolant? Because when I got home from the WeekFest San Jose show, the Hawkeye decided it didn't want the coolant anymore. Started going everywhere, all over the ground, and I was like, interesting. The expansion tank started to overfill and pretty much started going everywhere. Now, there's 2 explanations for that. There's one that's not so bad, and then there's one that's very bad. Now, number 1 is, I'm gonna get straight into it. I have a front mount intercooler on the Hawkeye. Now with that front mount, you can't run, with the way that the front mount piping is laid out, you can't run the stock expansion tank on the side because the piping goes right there. So I have a smaller one. And with that smaller one, it's gonna hold less coolant. Therefore, when it does its expanding and the coolant level rises, I actually can overfill. It's pretty common for those smaller ones to overfill. And then when it overfills, it loses that coolant, therefore possibly introducing air into the system. And then when you have air in your coolant system, not so good. So if I have air in the system, then pretty much that's like the not so bad. I'm gonna go ahead and just bleed the system. That's why I'm gonna go get some coolant right now, see if everything gets normal. And then they actually make a larger one that mounts a larger expansion tank that mounts somewhere else, and hopefully I don't lose coolant anymore and it actually stays all in there. So that's option number 1. Option number 2 is there's probably a lot of people saying, hey, it's your head gasket. So if it's that, then we got some issues. I gotta take the friggin' engine out. I gotta get the heads resurfaced. Maybe it got warped or something. I might have sent it too hard at the WeekFest rollout. Cue the video. So in that video, I thought I had the launch control on, so I was just trying to do like a 3000 or 3500, the little wop, 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 wop. But maybe the clutch wasn't all the way in, or maybe something wasn't right where it didn't do that, so then it redlined, and that's, I mean, it sounded sick, but I might have sent it too far. I don't know. The possibility of that blowing the head gasket is not too high, I don't think, but I don't know. It obviously happened after that. It's actually been like a couple weeks to where there kept being coolant going out of the expansion tank, but my car wasn't overheating when I was driving, so it's gonna be a long day trying to figure out what's going on. Another test that I got that should be showing up is it's like a special dye or a fluid. Pretty much a chemical reaction will happen if I put this little dye with the little siphoning thing over where you fill the coolant, and then you suck in air coming from the coolant, and if there's hydrocarbons or if there's exhaust gas in the coolant, then that little fluid will change color. It's kind of hard to explain, but I'll show you whenever it actually shows up in the mail. So number 1, like I said, we're diagnosing the Hawkeye. We're gonna see if I actually blew a head gasket or not. Hopefully I didn't, but number 1 is we are actually going to bleed the coolant system, see if it actually can get bled, and see if all the numbers stay straight, see if there's no white smoke coming out of the exhaust pipe. It's gonna be a long day. I don't even want to think about the wagon because the wagon's a whole different story. I might even have a separate video after this one for the wagon. Pretty much the wagon last night got blown out. I didn't drive it. It was Tommy driving it, but I'm not gonna blame him because it was on its way out. So today's definitely not a good day. This is pretty much why you shouldn't buy a Subaru, but we're gonna get through it. It's gonna be all right. I'll see you guys when I get home. All right, boys, so like I said, I finally made it back home. I got the coolant, I got some distilled water, and like I said, I've been losing coolant over time. So what I'm gonna do, first things first, is I'm gonna take off the radiator cap, on the tallest point, which is the secondary one, which is like upper left. So I'm gonna take that guy off. I'm gonna bleed the system, and if it bleeds thoroughly and it bleeds good, no crazy bubbles, then I know I'm on the right track, or at least I have a direction. But if it doesn't bleed, I got white smoke coming everywhere, then we may or may not have an issue. So I'm gonna go ahead, pop the hood, get it going. All my coolant bleeding stuff here. Bada bing, bada boom. So this is what I was talking about here. This is that smaller expansion. Normally it's pretty much right here, but as you can see, I got the front mount piping coming here. So there's a lot smaller one, and they do make a little bit bigger ones, so I might invest into that if this is indeed my issue. So let's see if it's full now. It's probably empty. And it's about a quarter full, so we're gonna go ahead and see if I can bleed this guy. I'm gonna take off this cap, and I'm sure this is like super empty. Let's go ahead and see what we can do. All right, so we're gonna keep an eye on the temp and make sure it doesn't get too crazy. And let's go ahead and see if there's any white smoke coming out of the tailpipe. Looking clean so far. I don't smell any coolant either. We're gonna go ahead, start bleeding the system, see if we can get any air out of it, and keep it going. So far, we're definitely getting some pretty significant bubbles coming out of the top. So like I said, I'm gonna keep it going. I'm gonna keep huge bubbles. Sorry, I got distracted. We're gonna keep it going. We're gonna get all these bubbles out and see if the bubbles eventually stop. Last time I did this, it took me pretty much like 20 minutes to get it fully satisfied where there was no more bubbles, and the level stayed good. So we're gonna go ahead and keep it going. This almost exact situation happened last time, but last time my car almost overheated. Right around 207 is when the fans turn on, and previously when this happened, when I was losing coolant out of the smaller expansion tank, I lost so much, I got air in the system, and then it went upwards of like 215, 220, kept going up. So that's when I shut my car off. So we're gonna keep it going. We're gonna cross our fingers that I didn't blow a head gasket. Very sketchy, very, very sketchy. All right, so after that little bit of bleeding, I don't see any more significant bubbles. I'll show you the level now. As you can see, it's pretty much just, the level is just shaking because the engine is shaking. So it's looking pretty decent now. But I'm definitely not in the clear yet. So like I said, what I'm gonna do is whenever that little tester shows up, where I'm gonna put that tester is actually right above here. So we're gonna see if there's any exhaust fumes or combustion gases in my coolant system. Then that will definitely tell me, hey, that's not good. You shouldn't have combustion gases inside your coolant system. Therefore, your head gasket may be blown. So I don't know. I mean, it doesn't seem like I'm too worried, but obviously I've been worried about this for the past like few days. But I know a lot of people said that they enjoyed that little motivational speak kind of thing that I did at the end, and I guess I could do a little spiel right here as well. Things like this are definitely gonna happen when you modify your car, and there's almost no point of me being upset at it, because pretty much this is just life in a nutshell. Things are gonna come up, very unexpected, and you could just sit down, be super upset, and not really do anything about it and let it get worse and worse, or you pretty much look at fear right in the eyes and just go for it and just fix whatever the problem is. And that's pretty much what I'm doing. You pretty much just have to laugh it off and just go step by step. You're gonna get through whatever the situation is, and the situation will definitely subside and get better after the fact. I'm a huge believer in everything happens for a reason, and for whatever reason this happened, we're gonna go with the flow. Okay, now that I'm happy that there is no more bubbles coming out from that top there, I'm gonna go ahead, I threw on like that cap. We're gonna let the system cycle through. We're gonna try to see if the fans turn on at the proper temp, which is around 205, 207 is when mine turn on. Once I turn on and I see temp go down, the one thing that was happening, like I said, is the temperature stayed fine. It was the fact when I turned off my car that this expansion tank started to overflow. So we're gonna go ahead and simulate that exact thing. We're gonna see if this thing cooperates or not. And if I see it overflow, then I'm gonna proceed from there. car seems to be pretty good, but like I said, the last thing we need to do is test if there's any combustion gases inside the coolant system. So I'm still waiting on my package. I think I actually hear the UPS guy. We will see. I'm gonna wait about 5 minutes. If he doesn't show up, I'm gonna be very upset, but we're gonna go ahead and wait it out. This will be the moment of truth. So I'm striking out left and right. You know how I said I thought the UPS guy was gonna go ahead and deliver that little block tester package for me? Well, checked my order on Amazon. It said it was delivered Wednesday. Today's Friday, so didn't get delivered. And just to double check, there's like cameras at my house, and I checked the cameras and no one delivered anything. So anyway, that is now strike number 3. Everything comes in 3s when bad things happen. It's just a known fact. So hopefully that's number 3. We're gonna go ahead and head over to one of my local shops here, and they actually carry a block tester, which I didn't even know. Same kind of thing. There's a little fluid with a syringe, and you basically suck some of that coolant, like air, coming out, and see if it changes colors. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go to the shop, we're gonna go pick up that little tester, and then we're gonna go ahead and test my cooling system, seeing if indeed my my head gasket's blown. So I'm getting freaking thrown around left and right, but hopefully we're gonna figure it out by the end of this video. Let's go ahead and do it. Wow, there you go. So a lot of companies call it a different thing. This one's from Lyle, and it's called the combustion leak tester. So as you can see, like I said previously, the fluid itself is that. It normally is blue, and then if you have a combustion leak inside, you'll see right there, it turns yellow. So we're gonna go ahead, do this test on the Hawkeye, see what happens. Cross your fingers, boys. Okay, so this is pretty much the setup that you want for this device to work. It wants you to hook up to a vacuum source. So all I did is I unplugged my boost gauge, took that vacuum line, hooked up the vacuum line straight to this little feed here, and that's for my boost gauge. So luckily, easy access for that. It's gonna pull a vacuum, pulling air through this fluid, and that air, if it has combustion gases in there, it will turn the fluid from this nice blue to a yellow. It wants the car warmed up, so I'm gonna go ahead and get it started, warm it up, and then it wants this thing on top of there with a little bit of space so you don't suck up fluid, because it only wants like pretty much the vapors to come up. We're gonna get it up to temp, put that thing on there. If it turns to yellow, we know we got some issues. As you can see, pulling vacuum through here. The fluid still seems to be pretty blue, not yellow yet. So it says to do this for about 2 minutes and see what color it is at the end. So far, so good. The fluid is very much still blue. So the results are in, and as you saw, the fluid never changed color. And I left it there for like longer than 2 minutes. I actually did 2 rounds of it just to make sure. Pulling all the air through where the radiator cap is, and still didn't change color. Obviously, if there was any like vapors in there, any combustion gases in there, it would have started changing colors, you would think, over the course of like 5 minutes or so. And 2 rounds. It never did. It stayed blue. It stayed true, which I appreciate. So maybe tomorrow I'll do the test again, and on the test it says you're supposed to do it at the highest point. I know Subarus have a cap on the top, on the upper left, and then some of the tests they do what the radiator is. So I'll go ahead and I'll do the radiator one as well, just in case that might change anything, which I don't think it will, but of course, better safe than sorry. So moving forward now, it was kind of weird or bizarre, the fact that it kept coming out of my expansion tank over there. So I don't know if it's just because over time I kept losing some and air got introduced into the system, and then it just decided to kind of boil over. And it just so happens every time I park, and that's when it happens. It is kind of a weird thing. I'm not too used to this situation, so I think what I'm going to go ahead and moving forward is, obviously I'm going to keep making sure temps stay good, everything stays good, don't have any white smoke coming out. But I'm also going to get a larger expansion tank because that one is way too small. That one didn't even come with the pairing kit. That's just like a random one that I somehow had from my intercooler kit. So not the highest quality one that I have right now. So I'm going to get a bigger one, closer to the OEM spec. And then obviously I'll update you guys going further on that. But now that we got one Subaru diagnosed, I still have another blown up Subaru. know what I mean? Last night the wagon got absolutely destroyed. Like I said, just a quick story. Me and Tommy were driving on the freeway. He was actually driving my car. And this happened on the 4th of July. We were cruising, all of a sudden, lost the power, couldn't go over 25. Car started surging. It's going to be a whole separate video that will be tomorrow's video. So if you're interested to see what's going on with the wagon, that's when I'm going to dive into it with Tommy tomorrow. So stay tuned for that video. Hopefully we won't be getting a new engine, but we probably will because the wagon's freaking blown out. You guys don't even know. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Cross your fingers that nothing else goes wrong with the Hawkeye because I was convinced that my head gasket blew. Like I said, I'm going to definitely update you guys coming in the next weeks to see if anything else pops up. But as always, I hope you guys learned something from this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm going to catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.